you an orientation what's available and give you a high-level overview of where each tool is more beneficial for your operation. Each tool is not created equal. With that said, I am minimizing something here. I'd like to start out with the roadmap of the ERP. And again, for yearly maintenance fee, that's what you're paying for in order to participate in this future roadmap. As many of you have heard, read, rumors, etc., there's a new version of GP coming out. It's coming out in December 2018. Sharon Joseph, which many of you know, and myself, were in Nashville in the Dynamics Summits, Dynamics GPAX, CRM, and NAV. And it was re-announced or reconfirmed that the date of the 17 for GP 2018 still holds. Typically, it's on the AX side and CRM side that Microsoft sometimes falls behind, but on GP and NAV, they're pretty on the dot. What we're seeing in GP 2018 is more upgraded functionality and workflow, more user-friendliness in attaching documents. In no ways is this document management or automated document management and indexing. It's more a little bit more functionality on just affixing a document. There's optimization or additional functionality in financials and human resources. Power Suite, we will be discussing that today. That has to do with Power BI. If you go to previous versions, 2016, 2015, on the slide, you also see mention of Power BI. For example, on the GP 2016, that's when OData 1.0 or let's say the first report packs and the first bridge was done. So Power BI has become matured within Dynamics, NAV, and AX. And it also, even though GP, it's right now we're in 2016 R2. R2, there was version 2.0 for Power BI, and since then, until now, there's been different releases, updates, etc. Within that functionality. So Power BI is matured, and a lot of the R&D and Dynamics is going into these new report packs or dashboard packs or key performance indicators. So we will be using today terminology, key performance indicators and dashboards. When I typically refer to a dashboard, it's like dashboard and your car is what's your tire pressure, how many miles per hour you're going, how much revenue you're doing, right? Daily, monthly, yearly. If something is wrong, it'll turn red. When your dashboard, same thing over here. So it's a lot of it is steering your company. It's performance. Key performance indicators typically are, although similar, would be referring to certain statistics or checkpoints that you want to keep a track of. Both of them, a lot of times we bundle them up as one terminology, but again, they tend to be very graphical. Great for and this is Psychology 101. It was a scientific study that came out from, I forgot which university, a couple of months ago. And they had humans process images in a quarter of the time, which is fractions of a second, than reading a word, right, or a number. So images don't mistake images as not being a productive tool compared to a row and column type of report with a whole bunch of numbers. Actually, human beings can read images and colors and associate that a lot faster than reading a page or reading a summary PowerPoint or even a report that's in columns and in rows. So I do want to get everybody in the same page before we keep on moving. So there's 10 reporting options in Dynamics GP 2016. We call them within GP and outside of GP. Also within that, I think one of them is you pay, and it's the last one on your right-hand side. So within GP is your, ironically speaking, your out-of-the-box reports. Those are those text-looking reports, typically in row and column format. Ugly, a lot of your forms are coming in there. By the way, it's 2017, almost 2018. It's a social age. Technology has come a long way. It's also part of the image of your company. So I typically tell clients, always try to look at a tool that's more visibly attractive, especially for invoices or other documents that may hit customers' bank and let's say other people outside of your four walls. You can do inquiries within GP, the famous all-in-one views and smart lists. I think 90% of GP users are smart list fans. There's a free version which comes with GP and Smart List Builder. There's also an outside version that you can add. Big difference between the free smart list and the smart list you pay, I think it's a little bit over $1,000 if I'm not mistaken, is the free smart list. It's reporting based on the same module functionality. So it's AP, it's going to be a smart list on AP. If it's AR, it's on AR. If a lot of people, for example, they want smart lists or reports where they can compare or bring in information from purchasing and tie it in somehow or another to sales order processing. So that's where the more advanced versions of Smart List come in. It's a product provided by E1. We also provide our product. And navigation lists within GP. So those are your quote-unquote free reporting options. Outside of GP, you get in no particular order. I love Excel, so does 95% of all operations and accounting people out there. And you do get a report pack. Report packs are reports out of the box already provided by Microsoft. It doesn't mean it'll fit you 100%. It's there's a wide range of reports there. Beautiful thing about Excel, you run a report from GP to Excel. It requires an install that we can do for you. Install that, let's say, functionality. It's basically just running a small application and doing a couple of steps, and typically, and most of the time, in a couple of hours. It's it's not an installation or an implementation, and it's also installing or downloading and making available a lot of these out of the box reports. Again, going back, Excel. You run one of these reports, it's bringing in GP data, it's live, it's refreshable, so you can have it on your desktop. You if 20 times a day you want to refresh that report, you just hit a little button, and it brings in the latest and greatest information from Dynamics GP. And Excel, everybody knows you can move columns around, add, subtract, whatever. So a lot of flexibility there, user friendliness and familiarity. The other one is SSRS reports or SQL Server reports. SSRS is something that comes for free in SQL. Guess what? Everybody needs SQL to run GP, so you already have this. It's for free. And same as Excel reports. This one takes a little bit longer, a couple more hours for us to install it and download the reports and obviously post them, make them available. All these reports are also tied into your Dynamics GP security, which is tied into Active Directory. So follows the same rules, methodologies of the reports within GP that you're so used to. Management Reporter. Management Reporter used to be called FRX. Again, it's a free tool. It also needs to do, we do need to do an little app installation. bridging in there. With Management Reporter, these reports are basically financial. They are not operational. Let me repeat myself, financial. So this would be more on the balance sheet, P&L type of reports, reporting by departments, reporting by P&L or product line or subsidiary. So it's a very powerful tool on the side for financial reporting. SSRS reports in Excel, they both have financial reports also. SSRS more graphical. Excel, everybody knows how to do graphs in Excel, almost everybody, sorry. I use absolutes. And the SSRS reports and Excel reports are, also have operational reports. SSRS requires, and Microsoft provides a lot of the pre-done cubes, so they tend to use more processing power. And the Excel reports are also using some cube that Microsoft has pre-established in there. So it may put a toll on your server. We do recommend, highly recommend. Can't force you to do anything to keep both of those in a separate virtual environment, preferably a separate physical server. When you hear the word server, don't get scared. You know, we're talking about a glorified PC more than anything else, unless you're a very big organization and have a huge amount of reports. But it's really not rocket science behind there. And again, you do get operational. One of my favorite reports, for example, and SSRS and Excel reports. SSRS is more powerful than the Excel reports. Is you know, let's say a sales report where you have sales by products category. You can drill down, slice and dice, take a look at it, regions, have maps in there of the country or the city, break it down by salespeople. So it just like a Rubik's cube, has multiple sides and multiple colors, but it's one Rubik's cube. So think of that like a cube. You can switch colors around. You can view the same cube in different angles. So it's taking a look at the same data in different angles. At the end of the day, it's all sales data, right? We want to see it by region, by city, by product, by sales person. It's just the angle or the side of the cube that we want to take a look at this. Power BI with GPO data, basically. It would be taking SSRS and Excel and Management Reporter to a whole new different level. As of version SQL Server 2016, you do get Power BI on-premise, but you do need to be on SQL Server Enterprise, and 90% of the customers are in SQL Server Standard, not the Enterprise Edition. So it's for free, and it's not for free, the on-premise version. For a very low fee, I think between, I don't know, $10, $15, I forgot the amount, you can get Power BI where all this processing is done on, I don't want to use the word cloud, let's say on an outsourced server, and that you don't have to buy or install service packs to the SQL Server environment or give it any type of maintenance, or every 2 or 3 years have to migrate and change to the server. Microsoft takes care of all of that on the application and the database and the cube side. Obviously, if you want to change a cube, that either Optimus or you yourselves do it. It also has a nice library of let's say, pre-done reports, report packs, and also designers and graphs and you know, let's say the visual aspect of it. You do the reports are designed on a PC locally, just like you design other reports, or you don't design that on the cloud. Very user-friendly tool. Right now, Gartner has a tool ranked, I'd say, #1 or #2 on the business intelligence side. And people say, Hector, but you know, $15, that's it. You know, what's the catch? The catch is there's hundreds of millions of people, employees of corporations using Office 365 around the world. So if Microsoft can put just 100 million corporate employees using Power BI, let's use $13, $12.50 as a medium. Do the math. That's 1.3 billion US a month. If somebody's using Power BI or whatever they use, so it's not giving away. It's just an economies of scale game here. The last one is third-party corporate performance management tools. Microsoft has been improving their tools significantly, especially the ones that are outside of GP on your right-hand side. And and then at the end of the day, I'd say out of the CPM do it all. So CPM does dashboards and key performance indicators and financial reports and all of this. I'd say right now where you can benefit from a third-party CPM, which means you have to buy or pay, would be more the forecasting and the more what if budgeting side of it, or advanced budgeting is what I would say. You can get more benefit out of CPM that all the other tools provide. So with that said, I'm going to jump these slides because I went into detail in the first slide. So these are just visualizing what I just explained. An inquiry report window, rows and columns. You'll see it down here at the bottom. I do want to grab, where's the hand here? Give me 1 second. No. Here we go. So I'm using the spotlight here. So this is your inquiry window for free. Most customers know how to use this. You're running a report in a way, although it doesn't feel like a report. Here, this one, and obviously these reports, a lot of them you can export them to Excel. Over here, all-in-one views, and your out-of-box, sarcastically speaking, very beautiful dynamics reports. I'm going to switch now to the next slide. Navigation lists. Again, this is pretty common in the smart list, so I'll just go through this. I explained them just so you can visually tie into, let's say, the first slide to what I was referring to in GP, for those of you who didn't know it. I've already explained this, so I don't want to bore everybody to death. You can send us an email. We can make this PowerPoint, we can email you this PowerPoint presentation. So you'll receive an email from Jenny at the end of the course. Just reply and say, hey, can you send us Hector's PowerPoint? But this is not a Microsoft PowerPoint. We built this PowerPoint from scratch. Effort from a lot of people from your Optimist team. This is, you can't download, it's not part of Microsoft documentation. A lot of times, a lot of these slides here, we brought in content from 2 or 3 different sources. So again, this is what I spoke about. It'll give you the pros and cons, which I already did in more detail. Great presentation for you to stand with your management or share within your team. Anytime you need to explain a one-on-one and take a look at a particular case, let's say help you build a report strategy within your organization, give us a call and I can personally help you out there. As many of you know, I'm very accessible. If those that didn't know this, I am very accessible. Outside of GP, explain pros and cons, what are all of these. BI 360 is a tool that we promote. Before, I'd say 2 or 3 years ago, they had some functionality that wasn't available in Power BI and obviously in Jet Reports for NAV, but right now I'd say this is primarily who we recommend work with on the forecasting and let's say advanced budgeting, what if type of analysis for budgeting. and then analysis cubes. So this is the type of report for we mentioned for Excel that you can get. And again, a lot of these reports are out of the box. You just can't guarantee that they'll be of use of you. Some will, some won't, and some will have 80% of what you need. You may need to have the other 20%. Power BI. We've been doing a lot of content on Power BI. Actually, we're releasing a video. I'll try to show it at the end of this presentation that we just did using real data from real clients. Obviously, we changed the data, we changed the name of the people on the reports, but it will give you an idea, and we did give it an island flavor. I do know that a lot of you here call are from the Caribbean. We also have people from the States and from Florida, but they're used to getting the big picture out of a big continent. So in this case, we did provide it with an island flavor. When Power BI reports, again, is dashboarding. I like these type of reports also in a warehouse, or if you're a services organization, let's say utilities company, if you're an airport, for example, and you're using field services, repairs and maintenance, a lot of these reports you can have, let's say, in the operations office, if it's, let's say, field services, again, landscaping, facilities maintenance, repairs, where you have a lot of work orders. You can have your dashboards or your key performance indicators. You can also have your top 10, let's say, performing employees on the field who are fixing or repairing the most. So it could get very interesting. Same thing in the warehouse. You can have your top 10 pickers, who's picking more boxes, who's picking more pallets, moving inventory around. If you're a general manager, if you're a president of a company, you can also have these reports running on your PC instead of a monitor, where you would have it outside of an organization. And about Power BI, very important, it's responsive. Now, a lot of you know what the term responsive is. About responsive means that a report, you can run it on a big monitor on a TV, and the report adjusts to it, to that size, to that screen. Then you run it on a PC or a laptop, then you run it on a tablet, and doesn't matter, and a cell phone or mobile, smaller mobile device. The report keeps adapting to that device. So for example, when you go to a website like Amazon or Airbnb or the Optimus website, you go with a PC or a laptop, you'll have a view of our website, but when you go to the mobile device, you'll see that it adjusts and makes it more user-friendly for you to visualize. Here's the evidence, what I told you, that, and if you can see at the bottom, I put a little yellow mark on it. This is as of this year, so this is not a report that was done 5 years ago. So latest report has Microsoft as with the Power BI application as #1 application out there for reporting. Pretty sweet for getting a free connector into GP, getting free base reports, or not free, again, you're paying for it in your maintenance, but again, you don't have to pay additional. There's not an additional maintenance fee for a year. You're already paying for it, and pretty sweet for, what is it, 10 to 15 bucks, whatever it is, per month. SQL Server, Power BI, Microsoft Excel reports, SSRS reports. As you're seeing, they're heavily reliant on SQL Server, your database, where GP runs on top of. So even though it's outside of GP, it's completely integrated to GP. It just doesn't look like a GP screen. So when we say outside of GP, it doesn't mean there's a lot of tubing and piping that needs to be done for this to run. It's, as I mentioned, it, depending on the type of tool and your environment, could be from a couple of hours to download the latest libraries, put in the packs. Some of you may have a GP version and you haven't updated the latest, let's say, bug fixes, etc. I know they a lot of times, not always, they do need to be implemented. It's not that the bug is in the report, but there could have been some enhancements that were or performance or whatever that was hidden in there. So it may push you to spend a couple of more hours also making sure that you have all your patches is the word I would use. So it's heavily reliant on SQL Server. The reason why I like to show this PowerPoint is SQL Server also has become responsive. It runs on Android, iOS apps. With Microsoft's new CEO, not saying I didn't like Steve Ballmer, which I don't, but they've all finally been being more responsive and understanding how technology should and is being used by end users or consumers. So with that said, also integration to SharePoint, as you're seeing here, Power BI, or portals. So all these components are also taken care on the SQL Server side. What does that mean for you is Microsoft, aside from investing hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D a year, before the number was 2 billion, so but I'm still using hundreds of millions of dollars. On the ERP side, they also invest significant amount of money on the SQL Server side in R&D and technology. So there's a lot of powerful tools, reporting, processing that you're also benefiting on the GP side of things. Another part that I wanted to mention on SSRS is the reports are also mobile, just like Power BI. You also get Word Portal, paginated reports. Here's a quick update. So we're in 2017 right now. We'll be updating this. It's now running on HTML5, the SSRS part, and so is Power BI, which is, let's say, the adopted standard right now. And here's more information. What's a paginated report? Again, this presentation, we kind of like did it, or we decided as a team to say, instead of having something very summarized on a PowerPoint, let's bulk in a whole bunch of additional slides and a lot of detail. I'd never like to put so much text on a slide, so this becomes your internal white paper for reporting, especially since there's nothing out there right now from Microsoft, and this is a moving target, right? So this is our second, third version. Pretty soon we'll have a new version, and you'll see a new roadmap for GPN there. You'll see our new roadmap for SQL services and some updates on report packs. But think about it. Right now, most of us, and that includes even Optimus sometimes in our internal application, we use a handful of reports. And right now, GP, through all these tools, you have hundreds and hundreds of reports in Excel, ugly reports, pretty reports, dashboards, KPIs, et cetera, and a lot of times we just get used to using the same report over and over. Well, there's so much rich insight that's available in the report, right? A lot of times it's just sitting down, going to those libraries, opening up the reports and saying, this is useful. I can use this with my colleagues in operations or in sales or in accounting or whatever. So as I'm speaking, I'm just giving you some visualization of some reports. And again, all these detailed descriptions, this was meant to be, this being a hybrid presentation dash white paper. So, and I go back at the beginning of the presentation, human beings, our brains can absorb images a lot faster than reading a report or text explanation or even a row column report. So this is the beauty about having something like this on your PC. Here are some views of SSRS reports and also Power BI reports. I understand Sheridan I think Sunseal also, Michelle for sure, they have some Power BI reports. I don't know if SSRS reports running on their cell phones from a let's say a sandbox environment that and testing environment that we have. It doesn't have any client info. So if you ever want to see something running, just ask your consultant, and they should be able to pull this up. So additional information, and again, this is we're getting more detail right now into Power BI. We did do a separate training. We can have a separate session with you all and go deeper in there. So I won't get into this full presentation. And again, you're going to see so many slides, but this is your white paper dash presentation. I think I've said that like 20 times already. Hopefully the message got through. So with that said, I'm going to open this presentation to questions and answers. I am not a technical person, and so I'll try and answer as many as I can. I do have, let me see, Jenny, can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3, Jenny? Jenny? Did you just hear the music? Can you hear the music on your end when I play this? Escucha la música. Do you hear the music, Jenny?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is video. We actually were pushing this, but these actual reports from Power BI. So some of you know this. I used to be a DJ before, so it's nothing as boring as seeing a demo and not being able to have any type of sound. So you're getting this music. Obviously, it's my music side of me. So I did mention that I would give it an island flavor. So this is actual real data. We're just hiding, but we change the detailed information behind it. So with that, it concludes our session. One last thing. These are little glossaries I've done for you guys, and it goes a little bit deeper in in Excel cubes, a little bit deeper in Power BI and SSRS. So this is part of your white paper on a PowerPoint form. So questions? One quick